fresh off an appearance on Good Morning Football, where I believe he and Kyle lifted during that commercial. I kid. Jay, it's good to see you, man. How are you?
Good, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How was GMFB? You guys were having fun.
Oh, it was great. It's fantastic. Yeah, real ADD conducive. It was fantastic.
Well, hey, let's talk about that, because for those who don't know, I mean, you obviously talk about it all the time. You talk about the ADHD. I know you told the story this morning about when you were a kid and you needed to step outside, and the teacher thought you were faking it and trying to run a game on them. Like, how has it, as you've overcome it, right, and gotten where you've gotten, have there been times where, like, it's really helped you? Like, yeah. I know for me, I've never been diagnosed, but there are times where, like, the ability to go all over the place, like on Sundays doing Red Zone, like, that actually can help you and be a benefit at times.
Well, here's the one thing I had to do with all my mental health issues, my depression, anxiety, ADHD. I had to figure out where they're my superpower, not where they're shaming me. That allows me to talk about them more. Like, I could brag about them. I could, really open up to my friends. But the ADHD, look, it allows me to, and, I wasn't diagnosed. I was diagnosed in 1989. So back then, nobody really knew what it was. I had to explain to my teachers what it was, and they thought I was pulling like a Ferris Bueller and just trying to get out and walk out of class and whatnot. So where it's helped me is certainly being an NFL insider, and especially when I was doing the, minute by minute breaking news when that internet thing first came out, which I think is going to take off. I'd have two phones going on, and still to this day, right? You'll have a GM over here and then somebody else texting through here and another coach over here constantly. So where is it my superpower? It allows me to do 3 things or 4 things at once. It also allows me to have 6 careers going at the same time, 6 different things. So I realized, okay, there's certain things I can't do, which I can't sit in a 3-hour college class in a lecture. Can't do it. Not able to do it. I can't walk into a restaurant and just sit there calmly. I hear every voice and every conversation that goes on. And I know I have to explain to friends of mine, hey, listen, I'm paying attention. I'm present. I just hear everything else that goes on. So I've had to make it something where I don't feel ashamed by it. And not only do I not feel ashamed by it, it's become my superpower. It allows me to do what I do in my career field.
It's funny, the restaurant thing. Like, I was at a dinner Saturday night, and I was back to the restaurant, but facing a window and a sidewalk. And I felt like I had to keep reminding the people I was with that I am present, because my eyes are looking at everyone walking down the sidewalk here. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And it's almost like you're constantly apologizing because you're not maintaining eye contact.
Right. No doubt. And that's, again, I now know to say something to someone. Or a lot of times also, like social media, man, because of the ADHD, we'll sit there, we have this going, then we have this going, we have that going, there's a million things. I now know, you know what? Okay, this can't be an out for me. I've got to turn this upside down and be present with the person that I'm with.
Well, dude, it's amazing, obviously, with the 6 careers and only 1 phone to keep all track of it. And
one phone that you know of.
Yeah, how many phones do you have, by the way?
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to say anything. Then people are going to start tracing them. I'm not going to do that.
I mean, do you have fake social media accounts?
I used to have a phone.
Matt Canada social media accounts?
I used to have a phone that, I feel so bad. It was traced to like some lady in like Arkansas or something, because I was like, when I had the Spygate video, I was convinced that my phones were being tapped. So I had 2 different phones going. One of them went to this poor lady in Arkansas, and I know that I think she got a bunch of calls. I do think people were trying to track certain things. I'm paranoid like that.
Wait a minute. Let's go down that road. Was your phone tapped?
You got to ask her.
No, I'm asking you.
You got to ask the lady when you called up and went to this lady. Yeah. Did I think it was getting tapped?
Yeah.
No. The old head of security for the NFL, Milt Ulrich, it's not like he was, he wasn't a Mr. Mossad or CIA. No.
Mm-hmm. You didn't get one of those links that said, this is the U.S. Postal Service and your package is at a warehouse and we can't get it there. Click on this link. No, you didn't get one of those?
I always click on those.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
We're talking to Fox's Jay Glazer. We're 20 days away from the trade deadline. I know the Screaming Heads, the morning shows, are all doing the Kirk Cousins is going to get traded thing. Justin Jefferson's out. I mean, Kwesi does say they're kind of a competitive rebuild, whatever the heck that means. Why wouldn't you listen? But you have to have somebody that would want him. And if it isn't the Jets, Jay, is there a team out there?
The Jets don't have the ammunition. So I don't know how
So then
it could be the Jets. B, I think Aaron Rodgers plays for the Jets next year. So I don't see how that's going to happen.
So then who would it be? Is there a team out there that wants Kirk Cousins, barring another injury, to someone else that we can't predict?
I mean, I don't know where you could go, especially the type of contract he's going to want. See, here's the thing, too, with the trade deadline. People have a million things going, but the guys who do normally get traded are somebody in the last year of their deal, right? That's who usually gets traded, right? So it's not, but you'll see a billion names out there right now. So it's usually a guy in the last year of your deal who not only you're trading for, but then you do have to give them some sort of monster contract going forward, right? We saw it with, where the Rams did it with Jalen Ramsey or who else? Chubb last year with the
Broncos,
Broncos to the Dolphins. It's usually a guy like that gets traded where it's somebody, we're probably not going to re-sign him, so let's go get a bunch for him. So I want everybody, when they're looking at the trade deadline, to look at those names, not just, well, this team stinks, so they're going to have a fire sale. Not everybody's just going to have a fire sale because their team isn't doing well.
Okay, but Kirk Cousins, I think most of the world thinks his deal, his deal is up. B, they're likely not going to pay him next year another massive contract. So doesn't he fit there in that, under those criteria?
I think the Vikings want him back.
You do?
Whoa.
Yeah, I do. At least in camp they did.
Okay.
I haven't been back there since camp, but I think they wanted him back then, yeah.
That would be news to a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I think they did.
Okay, then let's go to Denver, because that would be a fire sale. Like Jerry Jeudy, anybody? Do you think they would make moves like that?
Well, I think that they'll make moves. I think like Sean Payton said, they're not the ones who are initiating. And that's the other thing, too. You don't want to be the one initiating. When you're initiating, these GMs think, I'm going to get a lesser deal. So they are hoping that somebody else calls them. It's like the power of negotiation. That's what they think helps them out. So, yeah, I could certainly see Denver, though, if somebody makes them a good deal, trading certain things off. But, eventually, too, you have to say, okay, there's got to be some ammunition we have here to build upon.
Trades aside, how much more time, how much patience does Sean Payton have with Russell Wilson?
That's a good question. And here's the thing, too. This is the only year, like, if you're going to get rid of Russ, it's got to be after this year, just the way his contract is. So I think it's still, I don't know the answer to the question yet. I don't think Russell's playing, the way that you would want a superstar quarterback to play. So I don't know if Sean knows his answer yet. How about that's what I should say.
Ooh. Did Sean think this roster was better before he got there?
I think he did. Yeah, I think he did. And I haven't. Yeah, I talked to him in camp once. I didn't go to their camp. To only talk to him once in camp, and I think he thought there was going to be a lot. The piece was going to be a lot better, or that he was going to, resonate with them a lot more. That's the other thing too. Like, has he resonated with guys? You got to look some of this on Sean also.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Nathaniel Hackett thing is on him as well. Do you think in retrospect he regrets it?
Absolutely. It just didn't make any sense. But I also think, like, you never talk about any man like that. I don't care if you're talking about the dude who works at Starbucks. You don't talk about his job like that.
We're talking to Jay Glazer, Fox Sports Insider. Is that your official title? What's your official title? Okay.
Yeah. For 20 years, baby.
Okay.
20 years and counting. It's our 30th year.
20
years for me.
On the NFL
20 years
Fox.
for Kurt and I. 16 for Stray and 30 for those guys.
That's amazing. And the show's as good as it's been. And this is
we love each other, man.
30th anniversary.
We got the greatest locker room in the world, man. It's great.
Speaking of locker room, I can't imagine what it is like right now in New England, where Bill Belichick this morning said he is sticking with Mac Jones. Jay, how do you think that thing ends? Like, where's that going?
I think they need an answer quarterback, and I don't know if they have the answer there. So that gets a little bleak when you're not sure you have the answer in that room. But also, as it goes down this road, I think you have to look at the bigger picture. Does they look at it and say, hey, is this the year that we just part from Bill Belichick? I think those answers that's a real question that's going to be asked at the end of the year.
Do you think this
I don't think Bill Belichick just has carte blanche for the rest of his career to just stay there as long as he wants. I don't think it's like that anymore.
Do you think this is his last year?
I don't like to guess. You know that. I like to be accurate. It would be a guess. I mean, can I see it? I can, but I could also see them working. I mean, New England's just different. So I don't like to guess. We
were talking yesterday, and this is a ridiculous hypothetical, so I'm not trying to get some cheap Twitter clip that, you said this and that. We're just talking here among friends. And we were having the conversation, if, let's say, it is the end, right? And he and Robert Kraft decide to go their separate ways for whatever reason. This is the end of the road. He still doesn't get to Don Shula. Is there an owner who sees how badly it has gone the last couple of years there and says, I'm willing to give a 72-year-old Bill Belichick the keys to my car?
Oh, absolutely. It's Bill Belichick. Absolutely. I do think, though, however, I think the style of a Belichick or guys kind of who just, kind of lead with that iron fist, I think that style doesn't resonate as much anymore. I think a Dan Campbell or Sean McVay, guys like, or Mike Tomlin, they resonate because these cats now, they need something authentic because they're looking on social media all the time and there's nothing real on here, right? You are looking at filtered highlights of a fraction of a day and it's not real. You're comparing yourself to everybody else's highlights. None of them are real, or they're getting so much hate on Twitter. They're just seeing hate. So they don't want to get more hate in their own locker room from their head coach. So I just think styles of coaches that are resonating now are a little bit different than they have in the past. And I think a guy like a Dan Campbell who just, man, this guy is authentic, really authentically driven with these guys. It resonates a lot. And I think even more positive reinforcement with these guys instead of ruling with fear works a lot better these days.
What do you think Belichick would say if Kraft came to him and said, I want you here. You can coach as long as you want to coach. But, Bill, we got to make a change with personnel, and we got to bring in a GM. What would he say?
I don't know because I haven't asked him. What do you think he'd say? I think we'd all say no. He'd be like, no, I'm not doing that.
I mean, it's all his people there. I don't think he would do it.
I don't think I don't. Or he'd say, fine, I'm bringing in my guy. So it's still him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we all see it's not rosy there in New England right now.
No.
And I don't think Bob Kraft is just going to sit there and say, okay, you could just do this for another couple of years also. I just don't think there's that carte blanche everybody thinks there is.
Yeah, I think we can see the end. The question is, how do we get right now to the end? One more thing before we end here, and that's what's going on in Carolina. Obviously, they haven't won, and they thought they'd be a little bit better. They can't protect Bryce Young. They really don't have anyone to stretch the field. But there's this thing going around, and Rich mentioned it yesterday as well. Rich said, not putting words in his mouth, guys, we all agree, I'm going to say this the right way, that he hears that they might have wanted C.J. Stroud, but David Tepper pushed them towards Bryce Young. Have you heard that?
No, I think I always thought they liked Bryce Young. I don't want to go against Rich.
No, of course.
I've always heard they liked Bryce Young from the start. Yeah, I've never heard anything differently. I think that's the guy that they had targeted all along.
What did you think of Frank Wright talking about yesterday or 2 days ago, different kinds of ownership? There are some owners, he said, that want to meet with you all the time.
Yep.
And he talked about, obviously, David Tepper. He was answering a question, but it kind of opened up a window there where now people want to peer in and go, is everything cool there?
Listen, I've talked to certain owners, and I've said, listen, the guys who get involved a lot and meddle a lot and things like that, I said, listen, would you take a Mike Tomlin or Bill Belichick or John Harbaugh or Kyle Shanahan, the best coaches in this league, would you let them run your business? They're like, oh, no, totally different. I'm like, then why do you think you can make a second-round pick? Like, just let these guys do their jobs, right? And the guys who don't do that, because these GMs, these personnel guys, they're working their butts off. It's nonstop. You couldn't just suddenly come in to their financial corporation and figure out how to work their books. Same thing. I don't care who you are. And I think that's where they get in trouble a lot. Just let your guys who you've hired, trust yourself that you've hired the right guys to do that job, and let them do that job. And that's where you get in trouble. That's where you end up having somebody step in and say, let's go get a Johnny Manziel here, right? It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. And I still, I know people want to write off Bryce Young already. That is absolutely ridiculous. It's been 5 games. They can't protect him.
Well, people are trying to write off Tua also, and look what he's done. You got to give these guys some time to, right. I mean, you have to give them time to develop. That's the whole thing in developing a quarterback. It used to be, we're going to bring a quarterback in, we'll let him just sit behind somebody and develop. And that was fine. Now they're like, we're going to throw you in there, and we hope you develop really fast. but it still takes a few years to develop in this league.
Yeah, you know what he looks like? He looks like a rookie quarterback. Just because C.J. Stroud's playing lights out doesn't mean Bryce Young is not going to get there eventually as well. Jay, it's always a pleasure, man. I know you're busy today doing a bunch of these. We appreciate your time, man. Hope to see you soon.
Love you, brother. Appreciate it.
Likewise, Jay Glazer, everybody, live from New York.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.